We have a serious question for you.
Does your boat have a life-saving button?
Ours does.
But for something a little bit lighter.
Our boat needs a hat.
Tomorrow, it's going to start raining for about the next 3 days. We've got some cabin rot on top. We've got some fiberglass work we need to do. I'd like to figure out a way to get the boat out of the weather before our barn arrives. We are planning to build our barn this fall. I'd be standing in about the center of the barn right now. So it would be in this space kind of all around me. But until that happens, I'm gonna try and construct a temporary shelter to keep it out of the weather somewhat. My idea for building that temporary shelter is to use the old sail off of our tartan. And my thought here is to use the beams to create a support system that I'm gonna drape the sail over and then figure out how to secure down below. Well, it's not pretty. I hope it's functional.
Well, it was probably better than nothing.
We're gonna install a radio today. We bought our boat with this radio right above my shoulder here. The speaker doesn't work very well. You have to hold the thing like to your ear.
It whispers to you.
It whispers to you, which is not very helpful when you have the motor running or there's wind happening out on deck, which is generally what you want in a sailboat. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna replace it with this VHS.
Not a VHS. That's really old technology.
A VHF, GPS, DSC radio.
And one of the very important features of this radio is this little red button here, the distress button.
We chose this radio, but you can choose any radio that is DSC enabled to get this feature.
It's kind of like having a cell phone for your boat that directly communicates with other boats around you, as well as some of the most important people when you're on the water, the Coast Guard. They're the ones who can help you in a dire situation. You think you could plug this in, and if you're out on the water and you hit this button, someone might come and save you. Like,
would you think that?
I mean,
it says distress on it?
It does, yeah. But there is a bunch of steps that you need to take to actually make this button work after you purchase a radio. After you install your radio, make sure that it is connected to GPS. Now, a lot of these new radios have GPS installed already in the radio, and this one does, which is super cool. If yours doesn't, you would have to hardwire your radio to your GPS, which is a little bit more tricky. Once your radio is connected to GPS, then you need a MMSI number,
which is a Maritime Mobile Service Identity number,
to connect to this radio.
The MMSI number is used in search and rescue databases to include demographic information about the boat and the crew aboard the boat. This information is critical in life-saving situations and can drastically reduce the time to rescue. So when we press this button, the Coast Guard is going to immediately know where we are, what type of boat we're on, and who's on board, along with contact information for our emergency contacts.
Yeah, as well as the nature of the distress call, if that's something you send at the time of the...
Yeah, how do you do that?
I don't know. We have to figure that one out, but that is also an option. So effectively, this little button takes the search out of search and rescue.
If you're sinking, if someone is bleeding out, if you
lost someone overboard and you can't find them,
and you need to focus, boom, one button, all that information is sent. You now can focus on handling the situation that you are found yourself in. Whether that's manually bailing your boat out because you're sinking and you're trying to do everything you can to keep your boat afloat, whether it's trying to keep your eyes on the water looking for the person who's overboard, whether it's trying to use the fire extinguisher to put out a fire, whatever it is, you can devote 100% of your attention to sorting yourself out on board, knowing that you've contacted those who are going to be able to come find you.
In the fastest way possible.
In the fastest way possible.
So this is our VHF antenna cable, which is still has mud dauber dust on it. Otherwise that connection looks pretty good. Then we've got our power. That'd be pretty sweet if I can just plug into that wiring harness with the new one. So how do you get an MMSI number?
Great question, Kirk.
All right, well, that was pretty easy.
There are a couple different paths to getting an MMSI number. To figure out which to choose, here's the big question. Will you be traveling internationally? If so, you'll need to get your number through the FCC. If you'll be traveling domestically, you can get your number through Boat US. Boat US issued MMSI numbers are for recreational vessels that are US registered or documented and under 65 feet.
Oh yeah, look at that. I think I'm gonna have a plug and play unit here. We got our new mounting plate. I'm hoping these, oh yeah. I'm gonna just barely make it.
There are a few big differences between getting an international MMSI from the FCC and a domestic MMSI from Boat US. Getting an FCC number is more complicated, requiring you to also apply for a ship station license. The cost is around $200.
This might be the easiest boat project I've done ever.
This, though, is your only option if you will be traveling to or communicating with foreign ports. With a Boat US MMSI, the data you provide is only uploaded to the US Coast Guard Search and Rescue database. International search and rescue agencies don't have access to the data. This is why it's important to go through the FCC for your number if you will be leaving the US.
So power, which I can plug and play. This connects to third-party accessory multifunction display. Then this goes to an external speaker. Anyway, I think I can just plug this thing in and we're done. Done with the installation. Moving on to the MMSI registration next.
If you foresee domestic travel in your future, getting a Boat US MMSI number is as simple as going to boatus.com/MMSI. If you're a Boat US member, registering an MMSI number is free. If you're not a member, the fee is $25 and it comes with a complimentary 1-year membership.
The important thing to know about an MMSI number is it stays with the radio. So, if you are purchasing a used boat that is coming with a radio that has an MMSI number registered to it, you need to work with the seller of the boat to transfer the information associated with that MMSI number to you.
So, if you're dealing with a boat that already has a radio with an MMSI number, click here. If you're the seller, you can release the number to the new owner, and if you're the buyer, you can request a transfer if the seller hasn't released the number yet.
I think that may take the prize for the fastest boat project I've ever done. I think the elapsed time here is like 10 minutes. Pretty sweet that I bought the same brand of radio. I got to use the same wiring harness. Didn't even have to drill any new holes, didn't have to do any wiring. So now once I get the MMSI number registered, we will have the comfort in knowing that if it hits the fan on the water, we've got all of our information right in the hands of those who are best prepared to come and provide assistance.
Don't put it in the ashes.
Yeah, you don't want to touch anything, babe.
Yeah.
So we probably don't even want to eat that one now.
Can you help me?
I don't know what's more dangerous than a toddler with a marshmallow on a stick at a campfire.
It's not that bad. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right, yes. I will help you. Okay, but you don't want to sit on fire. You don't want chocolate.
I do.
You do.
Mom, where's my own chocolate?
We're on the morning commute to go get our berries. Up Berry Hill.
Starting what, day 2?
Yep, day 2. Yeah, we need to cut a few more paths in here, don't we?
Yeah. It's a bit of a thicket. So what do you think? Are they just really sun-baked? Because look at all these ones.
Yeah.
They're totally brown.
I think some of them just don't get enough water.
It looks like some of them maybe fell or got eaten, and then some of them just didn't even.
Some of them didn't even take.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, look at some of these in the shade over here. Like, that's a big juicy one.
Oh yeah.
And there's a bunch like in here. All right, I'm gonna help. We're gonna see how many of these get in the bowl and make it down to the house.
Okay. Not too shabby.
That's our harvest for this morning. So this is one of the first projects I have to do. And this is the second. This is the cabin rot that we discovered when we were trying to step our mast. I'm gonna have to dig into the core here. It looks like someone's already done this once before. So I gotta beef up that area. But the first thing I need to do is I need to measure my Daggerboard trunk here.
Last season, after putting the boat in the water, we discovered the Daggerboard was much too thin for the width of the trunk. So it just bangs around in there when
Yeah,
we're
it
sailing.
constantly gets torqued back and forth. I've got a Daggerboard dilemma.
Look at that. That's the leading edge of the Daggerboard. It's like they put one half of it together.
I really don't like half-assing things,
I'm not sure this camera's gonna do it justice.
but I also don't like investing a bunch of time into something that is never gonna be right.
And it's not even straight.
I don't have time to completely make a new Daggerboard right now if I wanna go sailing this season. But I also don't want to invest a ton of money into this thing. But it is so bad.
Basically, we have two problems. First, the Daggerboard is too thin for the trunk. Second, its shape is pretty bad. The thickness problem can be fixed fairly simply. The shape, however, short of paying to have a new one made, or somehow acquiring the skills and experience of shaping hydrofoils overnight, would cost a lot more in both time and or money.
It's bumpy, it's wavy, it's not straight.
So we decided for now just to fix the width.
What I'm planning to do with the Daggerboard is I'm gonna buy a hunk of PTFE, which is basically like cutting board material, but it slides really well. It's low friction. And I'm gonna glue or laminate a piece of PTFE to either side of the top of our Daggerboard so that it fits nice and snugly in that Daggerboard trunk so that the Daggerboard can't wobble side to side. And that is gonna be my short-term fix for right now so that we can go sailing this year. Long-term fix, maybe we'll build a new Daggerboard.
Now we need measurements. We have the specs from the build plans, but what are the actual measurements of the board and the trunk?
It's gonna be a little bit difficult because really I need to know that this measurement is consistent all the way down and all the way forward and back. So I think I'm gonna take my micrometer, 2 9/16. It's a lot wider in the bow here at the top, narrower here, but it's not the top so much that matters. It's the bottom. I might cut like a block of wood or something, tie some line to it, move it all around and make sure that it doesn't get stuck anywhere. So we got my block of wood here. So that's 2 9/16. And then my plan is basically to just drop this down, see does it catch anywhere. And if not, then I know that 2 9/16 is good. If it does, then I sand this down a little bit more and move it around until it doesn't catch. And then whatever my final dimension is, that's how wide my Daggerboard needs to be. It's pretty tight. Well, I do get a little bit stuck in a few places. Not too stuck. So I definitely need a little more tolerance than what I've built in here, but I'm close.
So I'm at least within the ballpark here. I realize that this is only like 2 inches long and the Daggerboard's significantly longer. So this isn't really measuring inconsistencies over the whole length of the Daggerboard case. I think I just need to give myself a large enough tolerances here to account for those types of things. So now I'm totally second guessing myself because I just swung this thing around all over and it didn't actually really get stuck. It got stuck in one spot, but I just reached my hand down in there and noticed that there's a big drip of like some epoxy or something. So I feel like I should be able to sand that down a tiny bit if that really is an issue. It got stuck at the very, very top here in the stern section.
but the Daggerboard doesn't even come up that high. I think I found my measurement. So the last piece of the puzzle here is to figure out how wide is the Daggerboard currently, and therefore how much PTFE do I need to purchase, and what thickness to add to the top of the Daggerboard so that she slides nicely. So I've got my Daggerboard stored over here next to my windsurfing booms. We are looking at roughly 15/16. Now I know what I'm working with.
The plans say the trunk should be 2 5/8 and the board should be 2 1/2. This leaves 1/16 inch on each side. The trunk is nearly spec at 2 9/16, but the Daggerboard is barely an inch thick. This means we need to beef it up with almost 3/4 of an inch on each side.
So I think my plan is a good one. This board is gonna literally be a drag on the boat. When we first got the boat on the water, it was cool. We did 10 knots without much effort, but it did feel like there was a lot of drag on the boat. I figured it was because the Daggerboard was cattywampus in the Daggerboard case and like fighting with the rudder, but also seeing how poorly shaped this really is, I think that's definitely contributing to it. I know that the rudder is slightly better, but not a whole lot, so that's a whole nother story, whole nother project. The rudder is at least serviceable for now. This is unusable. This thing is just slamming around, so we gotta fix it. This lean-to behind me is a real piece of work. We've stripped off the decking. I'm working this 2-shovel method. It's working pretty well. Until I lose a shovel.
You do that on purpose?
No. What we thought was just rot in the sheeting on top is rotten through some of our rafters and also some of the sheathing on the side of our garage. Do you mind grabbing that for me? I got 2 more pieces to rip off, and then it's just a bunch of nails and cleaning up and figuring out what we can save. Thank you, Shane. But the reason I'm working on this and the reason I'm excited about it is that we're gonna be doing some big glassing projects, and I wanted a space that I could get very messy, very dirty, have fiberglass dust flying around that wouldn't have gotten all over all of the things that we're storing in our garage. And this is gonna be the perfect space for that. I've now got to replace some of the rafters, get the new sheathing back up, put shingles on, and then I've got a perfect space that I can get as messy as I want. We'll hang some plastic in the front here so we don't contaminate all of our land with little mini bits of plastic and fiberglass dust. But this will be an awesome like shaping bay for our new Daggerboard and rudder. I'm gonna get at it. Have these pieces of plywood up here.
Yeah.
That was dumb. And we were dancing around
Do I look like a cat to you, boy?
from beam to beam all nimbly like
Am I jumping around all nimbly-bimly from tree to tree?
a cat.
Meow.
And then we brought these pieces of plywood up here and made it go way smoother, way faster. Until we scalped Craig's leg.
But you didn't have to go to the ER.
I did not have to go to the ER. I just left some blood
Got some war wounds.
on the property.
Yeah. What did I say? You're putting your skin in the game?
I hope your liability insurance is up to stuff.
One call, that's all.
Is it called Saul?
Oh,
Or is it Gruber?
no, that's Gruber.
I guess it doesn't really make sense to take out nails from the We're almost done grading. We've got a level pad here. It depends on what you measure from. And we just spent the last 20 minutes trying to figure out why we can't square this building up.